Ever wonder who keeps hospitals safe from, well, an invisible threat?
Yeah, invisible and potentially dangerous.
And no, it's not the Ghostbusters. We're talking about radiation protection technicians.
Exactly. An often unsung hero in so many different fields.
So true. So if that's piqued your interest, today's deep dive is for you. We're going deep into RoleCatcher's career guide for this, increasingly important role.
Absolutely. A very timely deep dive.
Think of us as your cheat sheet, your shortcut to understanding this whole career path.
A lot of people probably don't even know this job exists.
Right. We'll break down what these guardians of safety actually do, day to day, where they work the whole 9 yards.
And how to get ahead, which is important.
Totally. So RoleCatcher kicks things off by defining a radiation protection technician as someone who safeguards environments from potentially harmful radiation.
Which sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah, at first glance, but
But I'm guessing it's a lot more complex than just like, reading a Geiger counter.
right. There's got to be more to it than that.
Way more to it.
So what does it actually take?
Well, RoleCatcher uses the word meticulously
Yep.
a lot, and for a reason. We're not just talking about, nuclear power plants,
Right, right.
although, I mean, those are a big part of it. But think hospitals with X-ray machines, research labs that handle radioactive materials,
Oh, yeah, of course.
even some manufacturing facilities.
Huh. I wouldn't have thought of that.
It's anywhere that radiation is present, you're going to find these technicians.
Interesting. And that word, like you said, that word meticulously, it really stood out to me.
Yeah.
What does that kind of meticulous monitoring look like in practice?
So picture this, right? You're starting your day calibrating a Geiger counter,
Okay.
making sure it's accurate.
Mm.
Later, you might be in a hospital's radiology department, measuring radiation levels around the X-ray equipment.
To make sure everyone's safe.
Exactly, ensuring safety for patients and staff. Or you could be having to implement, a new safety protocol for a lab that uses radioactive materials.
Wow. So it's really detail-oriented then.
Very detail-oriented, high level of precision is needed.
So it's not just about, like, reacting to a radiation leak or a problem.
No.
It's about preventing those hazards.
Exactly. It's a lot of prevention, and that's something RoleCatcher really emphasizes,
Yeah.
The importance of developing these, like, comprehensive radiation protection plans.
I see.
It's proactive, minimizing risk before they even become a problem.
That makes sense.
It's much more strategic.
Yeah, not just waiting around for something bad to happen. Now, let's be real. RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat things. The guide clearly states that this line of work can be hazardous.
Yeah, it can be. There are definitely inherent risks.
So what's the trade-off? I mean, what motivates someone to take on that risk?
Well, I mean, look, it's not always glamorous, but it is reflected in the compensation.
Okay, so the pay is good.
The demand for skilled professionals is high. That translates into competitive salaries and really good opportunities for advancement.
That's good to know, that your skills are valued, especially in a field that's, so crucial.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and RoleCatcher actually points to an interesting trend.
Okay.
Hospitals, they need more and more radiation protection technicians,
Oh, interesting.
not just the more traditional settings like power plants.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I can see why, with all the medical imaging and technology they use these days.
Exactly. It's only going to increase. So this trend just opens up, more diverse and specialized career paths, even for those interested in healthcare.
Huh. So it's not just about containing potential disasters.
Yeah.
It's about ensuring safety in so many different places.
In our everyday lives.
It's everywhere.
Very much.
So we've established this field is like really growing, in high demand. But what does that actually mean for someone just starting out? Like, how do you even become a radiation protection technician? What's the path look like?
Well, RoleCatcher's really clear on this one.
Okay.
It all starts with a solid educational background. You're going to need a bachelor's degree
Okay.
in a related field, so something like health physics, nuclear engineering,
Makes sense.
maybe even physics, but like with a specialization in radiation.
Yeah, you'd need to really understand the science behind all of it.
Exactly. You need that strong foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just theory. And RoleCatcher makes this really clear, too.
Okay.
They highlight the importance of hands-on experience, and that's where certifications come in.
Oh,
So they specifically mention the Certified Health Physicist, the CHP,
okay.
and then the Certified Radiation Protection Technologist, the CRPT.
So those are important to have.
Those are really important, those credentials, because it shows employers that you have those practical skills, that you can handle the job.
Right. It's like, it's one thing to read about something. It's another to actually do it.
Exactly.
Like, I can read about baking a cake.
Right.
Doesn't mean I can actually bake one.
Exactly. You got to get your hands dirty.
Yeah. You need that real world experience.
100%. And speaking of which,
Okay.
RoleCatcher also really emphasizes internships, even volunteering
Oh, interesting.
for radiation monitoring projects, stuff like that.
So even if you've got all the book smarts,
Mm-hmm.
nothing replaces actually being in the field.
100%. You got to be in it. And that's where networking comes in.
Oh, right. Of course, making those connections.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher even suggests, like, attending conferences.
Okay.
Joining, like, professional associations.
To meet people.
Yeah, like the American Nuclear Society, the Health Physics Society.
So you can learn from the best.
Exactly. Plus, those conferences, they're a gold mine of information. You hear about the latest technologies. You get a glimpse into the future of the field.
That's so cool. And you mentioned technology earlier, and it made me think, because RoleCatcher talks about how the field is always evolving,
Oh, yeah.
especially with things like, remote monitoring and all this data analysis.
Right. It's huge now.
So what kind of impact do you see that having on, like, the work itself?
That's a great question. And honestly, it's something that everyone in the field is talking about.
Yeah, I bet.
Because think about it. As technology changes, we could see a huge shift towards, like, more centralized monitoring,
So instead of always being on site,
Yeah,
you might be working remotely.
exactly.
It's kind of mind-blowing, right? Like, instead of always being on site, maybe you're working from, like, a control room somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Overseeing multiple locations, but all remotely,
Wow.
analyzing data in real time.
So instead of someone in a hazmat suit, it's someone at a computer?
Maybe. Yeah, in a way. But that brings up a really important point that that RoleCatcher kind of hints at.
Okay.
With all this talk about technology, what happens to the human element?
Right, because we've been talking about all this advanced tech.
Mm-hmm.
Is the future of this whole career just going to be about, like, analyzing data from a computer?
It's a good question, and I think it's something that, people in the field are trying to figure out right now.
Yeah.
Because there's no doubt that technology, it's going to change things, but it's not necessarily about replacing humans entirely.
Right.
It's more like technology is changing what the work actually is.
Interesting. So more about adaptation, like we have to adapt to the new technology.
100%, yeah. Think about remote monitoring, right? You could have one technician overseeing, like, several hospitals
Wow.
or research facilities all at once.
From their computer.
From their computer, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They're analyzing data, they're identifying risks, maybe even guiding people on site, all remotely.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is, but it's also incredibly efficient. And it really shows that, in the future, you're going to need different skills.
Like what?
You'll need, like, really strong data analysis skills. You'll need to understand how the technology actually works, and then also still be able to make, like, these split-second decisions.
So all those soft skills, the problem solving, the communication, that's still important.
More important than ever, I think. Because even if you have, the best AI in the world, there are always going to be things that come up.
Right, things AI can't predict.
Exactly. Things break, situations change, and you need a human who can think on their feet and figure it out.
So it's really about, like, using technology to your advantage, not being afraid of it.
I think that's a great way to put it. Technology is a tool.
Right, it's not going to replace us.
At least not yet. Right. But really, it's about continuous learning. Always be learning, stay up to date on what's new, be ready to adapt.
It's a career for people who are curious, who like to solve problems.
100%, who like science, who are analytical, and, who are also adaptable.
And who care about keeping people safe.
That's a big one. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, protecting people from, this invisible threat. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. Well, there you have it. We've gone deep into the world of radiation protection technicians.
We really have.
Not just what they do now, but where this whole career is headed.
The future is bright.
A huge thanks to RoleCatcher's Guide.
Such a great resource.
It really is. So if you're looking for a career that's, in demand, that's using science and tech, and that really makes a difference, this might be it.
Think about it.
Until next time, everyone, keep learning and stay curious.
And stay safe out there.
We'll catch you on our next deep dive.